Hi, before you watch the video, I'm gonna say that the audio is not working well, so sorry for that. And I tried to record this so many times, but it was difficult, so for now I'm gonna upload this video the way it is. And thank you for watching. I was trying to record this video many times, but I couldn't because, well, I'll just start now. Um, yes, as you saw in the title of this video, until 2020, there were about 85 hospitals in my country who prescribe plants. And I didn't know about this. I wanted to share with you about the traditional medicine in my country because this is, as I said before, a really important part of the culture. We find this medicine in the kitchens, we find it in the markets. I I have these plants like this that I found in my mother's kitchen, and also this because I wanted to show you. Well, if we have like headache or fever or stomach ache or any inflammation, we just um, use these plants to help us. And also, I know that foreign people, visitors, they come to Peru for healing. They look for not just for, well, they look for these plants, but I also know that they come looking for other kind of plants that are used in rituals and for spiritual healing and mental healing. But I'm gonna talk about that in another video. Today I'm gonna talk about these more common plants that we use in houses, and they are part of the daily life in Peru. For my generation, we don't have much knowledge. It's like in my case, I don't know the names of these plants. I don't know how to use them. And other people my age, they are like the same, or they don't use them much. They don't know much about them. But for the last years, these plants have been getting more recognition. This is really important for the public health, also for indigenous communities, and also for Peruvians in general. Yes, that is where I wanted to share with you this knowledge about these plants have pre-Columbian roots, and they pass the knowledge in indigenous communities from generations to generations, but it didn't have its recognition until about 20 years ago, where in the public health system, they wanted to do like a project and start researching, and they created a institute of medicinal plants where they study these plants. There is a big institute in a city called Iquitos that is in the Amazon forest in Peru, because these plants grow in the forest and also in the Andes. But that Iquitos is an important city for natural and medicine. So there is an institute there where they study about 500 types of plants. That is like a big number of plants. And they also, in that project that started like 20 years ago, they started to include um, sections. I don't know how to say this, but they included this knowledge to hospitals. So they were in these hospitals that I say that they prescribe plants. They are called complementary hospitals because they work with both kind of knowledge, like the normal, I'm gonna call it normal because I don't know how to say that in English, but the normal medical knowledge and the indigenous traditional knowledge. And well, I know that you maybe can think like um oh, there are also hospitals like this in other countries, because yeah, there are complementary hospitals in the United States, in Germany, in China, in Brazil, and in India. I don't know if there are in more countries, but there are these kind of hospitals. But what is the difference with Peru? Well, in Peru, there are one of the differences is that we work with Peruvian communities, Peruvian indigenous communities. So the hospitals, they they have they include them. They work with their knowledge and with these communities, and they are the providers of the plans, and they are the providers of the knowledge. They work together like forest engineers, local forest engineers, and and medical like scientists and with communities. The difference, there is also another difference, and is the, well, apart from the recognition that these communities are having, another difference is the fight that um, they had to fight to enter to the public health system, and for other countries it was much easier to recognize like the complementary hospitals. But in Peru, even when this knowledge has like hundreds of years, here it was more complicated to to get accepted. And also another difference is that they recognize and they are also studying and fighting for the ecosystem, because they know that if they like overproduce these kind of plants, they can cause a big damage of the environment. So they wanna be respectful with with indigenous communities, but also with the environment. And they continue like fighting with the government to get like more policies or laws. This project started like 20 years ago, where they founded the institutes. They created the institutes to research these plants, and they included the treatments in the hospitals. But they didn't get any serious law until 2023, where this all was institutionalized, and the law is to protect, I think, to promote the research, the investigation, to protect their indigenous knowledge, and to institutionalize all this um, medicine. I wanted to talk about why is this important for indigenous communities in my country. And well, as I said, they are getting more recognition. These activities are improving their economy because they are selling these products to the hospitals and the new companies that are dedicated to this. But also, it's important to talk about the indigenous communities in Peru, because they have been, not just in Peru, but indigenous communities in Latin America. They have been fighting to protect the environment, and they want a recognition from their ancestral knowledge that they're sharing. Um, these communities, they live very far away from the cities. They live far away from hospitals, and so they don't have access to public health systems. They don't have access to many things. I When I was at the Amazon, I wanted to get closer to these communities. I got to talk with few communities, like two indigenous communities. They weren't the communities that are live far away, but yeah, I talked with two of them, and I talked to them because I was doing a research for the university that was a study of dengue. I was making like a report about dengue because there are too many mosquitoes in the forest, and they were showing me the plants. I was like walking there with them in the forest, and they were showing me the plants they use, because mm, they told me that there was a hospital near there, but the hospital was closed the most of the time. So people just have had their traditional plants, and that was what saved them. And they were showing me the plants, and they said like, oh, if you have higher fever, you have to take this and this, and this will help you. And as I said before, I also have like consume these plants, because here also my family buys these plants, and these are good. And we don't I never knew about these hospitals, and my family, they didn't know about these hospitals also, even when they are like 20 years in my country. But And we do something similar here. Like we go to the doctor, and the last time I think I went to the doctor, I had like um I was about to have kidney stones. The kidney stones, they were forming, and well, I didn't still have kidney stones. They were like I was in the process of having kidney stones, and I went there, and the doctor did the evaluations, the analysis, and things, and the test. So in the results, he told me that I was in that process of having kidney stones, and he prescribed me like medicine that was a very strong medicine. That medicine produced me like nausea and stomach ache. It was very strong. So my mother, she said like, oh, not do not take that medicine. I know what natural and medicinal plants you have to take so you get healthy. And I took the plants. These plants that don't have side effects, and I get cured. And yes, this is the way it works. It's like no, it's not like no, not going to the doctor at all and not having any analysis or test. In these hospitals, they mix up the both. It's like the normal. They do the exams, they do test, and then when they know your problem, they prescribe plants. The plants that have the same results, but as the usual drugs that we take, but without those adverse reaction, without those side effects. So yeah, and this was one of the reasons why in the hospitals they started implementing this. So we Peruvians don't depend on the pharmacy drugs, big pharmacy drugs, because they have many side effects. It also was to improve the quality of life of people because these plants help to prevent and to treat many chronic diseases are arthrosis, I think also like chronic pains and other other sickness that I don't remember well, but these are many chronic diseases also to cure anxiety and stress and depression. Yes, and another reason was to like humanize the patient treatments because with using these new methods, patients they feel as doctors are closer to them and that they feel that they are listened, and yeah, that it's like they're taking more care of them because these treatments are more personalized. They just not just see and evaluate an organ, but they evaluate the person as a whole, and they work with the emotional um, health condition and also the body. So this obviously also improved had like benefits with the economy because Peruvian health system, it saves a lot of money because these treatments are cheaper. It doesn't cost much, but we also don't have to buy and import these expensive long treatments from the outside, from other countries. And well, here, as I said, they're working with many professionals, with indigenous communities, but also with local scientists and forest engineers and doctors and yeah. And I wanted to say something more. Or there is a beautiful example that I just get to know when researching about this. There is a beautiful project called Misha Rastrera. They are two local forest engineers. They are making all these. Well, they have a startup of selling this natural medicine. They work with many projects of indigenous people. They help to preserve the lands, and them and as well with other many other professionals. They are working to well. We know that this has been beneficial for the people in our country and for chronic diseases, and we want to get the recognition of our plants. Well, I don't belong to any indigenous community, but I'm talking of we as Peruvians. Well, and we want that those lands to be recognized because those lands are part of our culture, but we also know that if we overproduce this kind of medicine, this is going to be dangerous for the ecosystem and for the environment and for the preservation of these plants. Um, I don't know if I was about to say more things and about to give more information, but I got so nervous because of the audio that is not recording well the sound. I was just kind of blocked. And also because I was trying to record this video many times before, and but I couldn't. I had one problem or another, so I couldn't record. And now I've seen that the audio is not working, but I want to upload this. And yeah, I think that this topic is interesting for all of us, not just for Peruvian people, because it's also about the environment, these indigenous communities, not just in Peru, but also in Brazil, Colombia, and Ecuador, and in many countries of America Latina. They are trying to preserve the ecosystem and the environment. They have the knowledge of how to preserve the land. They have been like very respectful with the land, and since many years ago they are like the protectors of the lands. Also, this knowledge is like important. um well, I know that we can learn from each other, and this my country also have like beautiful knowledge. Like Latin America, we don't just have products like potatoes and and food and metals and things, primary products, but we also have like our knowledge that is ancestral knowledge, and that is like important also for the world. So it's important to preserve like these communities and working on their education and to give them recognition. This is what I wanted to say, and I also know that this topic is important for visitors because many visitors come to Peru for healing, and well, most of them come for spiritual healing and mental healing, and they have like other they look for other kind of treatments like rituals that and rituals that are performed by the shamans and things like that. I'm going to talk about this in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope the audio gets better for the next videos. Thank you so much.